Welcome, Internet, to the Pixel Play Podcast, your weekly podcast where we get together to discuss all the news, rumors, and discussions going on in the video game world. I am one of your co-hosts, Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, joined as always by my co-host, Adam, CSRadical. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about PlayStation State of Plays of both past and future. Buckle up, you Harry Potter nerds, it's about to get real. We're also going to be talking about the initiative, lacking initiative, and we're going to be talking about Elden Ring being the newest, biggest IP since The Division back in 2016. All that and more in this week's episode. If you want to find us, you can always find us on YouTube by searching for Pixel Play Podcast, all one word, or Pixel Play, at least all one word. We are wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on the socials by searching for Pixel Playcast. With that being said, let's jump into it. Adam, how was your week been?
Quiet. Actually, yeah, I had to go house sit at my parents' place, so they were out in like farm country. So I basically had like the entire like Saturday to just sit down and do absolutely nothing. I would have brought my PlayStation with me for Horizon, but I don't know. I don't like the whole idea of trying to carry that friggin' thing in a box that I don't have anymore. So it's like, let's just go with the laptop and we'll be fine with that.
Would you end up playing at your parents?
Oh, nothing. I literally like basically watched a crap ton of YouTube.
Nice.
But like.
Nice.
As much as I want to play Horizon, I'm not going to lie, because it's so quiet out there, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice having a day where it's just like, oh, what's that? You hear that? That's right. Nothing.
Those are birds.
Yeah. Actually, true. That's literally the only thing I saw the entire Saturday.
Nice. Yeah, no, this weekend was awesome. It was like decently nice out. I went to go, I got a haircut. I know you don't have hair, Adam, so you didn't notice it, but I did get a haircut.
I mean, technically it's growing back. I'm just going to have to shave it eventually before it starts looking horrible.
I'm just teasing. But yeah, I end up, there's an arcade right down by my barber's, and so I had an afternoon, and the wife took the little guy, so I had an afternoon to myself. And yeah, I hit up the local arcade. We've got a little like barcade sort of area by our place, and it's awesome. And I don't often get a chance to go there, especially with the pandemic, but I was like, hey, I got an afternoon, so I ended up going down, and yeah, had a blast. I had like, $10 worth of tokens, which went actually quite far, and they served like beer and lattes there, so it was a great time. I ended up playing so many games, both like classic arcade games. They've got some new pinball machines, and then they've got some of the arcade games that like we had when we were kids, and so it was great. I got a high score. If you go to the arcade, I'm now number 1 for Galaga. It's not that impressive. I don't play Galaga very often. I'm not competitive, but
apparently neither does anybody else then if you got the high score.
I think the machine actually just had like that was unplugged and they plugged it back in. It was like,
yeah, you sure it wasn't a hard reset or anything?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure, because like the high score was like 20,000, which is not much. But hey, I will take that high score, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, it's just
it's a far cry from my old days where I used to go to the what we used to call the Palladium, where before it shut down, where I played that shooting gallery where you shoot the cup and it breaks at the end. And I would spend like an hour at that machine. Just like it was basically like a light gun game where you just shot like light targets. And the faster and faster you did, like it was a quick draw thing. So it was like you quick draw and then you shoot as quickly as you can and you keep that time. And you keep going to the end to see how much time you save before the game's over. And I would sit there for an hour. Every time I go to Palladium, I would sit in front of that machine for an hour and try to beat the high scores. And eventually I would.
So I'm really dumb. Or at least I was when I was a kid. And for whatever reason, I made the association that Palladium was owned by PlayStation, like that they were like the same company. I'm like, because they both have play in the name. So like, I don't know, when you're 10 to 12, you're like,
they really owned all those batting cages and go-karts they had.
I actually never went to Palladium.
And this is before they had MLB The Show.
Yeah, I never went to Palladium as a kid because that like wasn't near my house, and like we never went. So
that was like my birthday party every year.
Yeah,
I want to say there was like nearly a decade-long stretch. It was probably from like, let's say 9 to, let's say about 15, 16 that I did every year. That's what I did.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I did like Dave & Buster's, and Dave & Buster's is fun, but like I never did Palladium. Yeah. So we had our local like arcade growing up where I like back home and stuff, but like, yeah, it's just something fun. Like it just brought me back to got me thinking about all the old arcade games that like I used to love as a kid. So the one I played that I really like that brought me back, that kind of was like, yeah, like I remember this was Virtual Cop. You ever play Virtual Cop? Yeah. Yep. That one's like, I was playing Time Crisis, and Time Crisis is, I think, arguably like the better game because you've got like the foot pedal and stuff.
It's probably like the most like that and House of the Dead. Those are probably like the two most like classic arcade games that you remember growing up as a kid.
Yeah, but I think I like Virtual Cop slightly better than Time Crisis. Just because like I don't know the simplicity. I just went through the level and I'm like I totally remember this from when I was a kid and it was great. But that like they don't have all the machines there, and I kind of like I was thinking of the ones I wish they had. The two games that I used to play all the time, and this seems to be all light gun games. I loved Silent Scope. Yep. That one where you had like this sniper rifle and you're shooting at that game was amazing.
I sucked at that.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it.
Well, because I'd spend more time looking down the scope and not even actually checking where the targets were. I would just be like, "Oh, isn't this cool? I'm a sniper," and then I realized, "Oh crap, the game's over."
Sniper, pew pew. The other one I played a lot with my dad actually was Big Buck Hunter. Yep. That game was awesome, and like I got to the point where I could just like I was like reloading and shooting so quick, the shotgun became pretty much automatic, just. And my dad's like struggling through it. It was a great memory I had. And then like you got those classic, side scrolling beat 'em ups. Like I remember playing like Simpsons Arcade. Simpsons Arcade was a classic. And everyone used to always fight to be Bart, at least when I like my group of friends. I remember playing that one. What about you? What were some like the arcade games that like you remember fondly?
Well, from my days of arcading, the ones that kind of stood out, like I'm thinking Palladium because that's always where I went. Apart from like your usual, like I said, Time Crisis, House of the Dead. Usually there'd be Dance Dance Revolution at these things, so you always mess around with that for a round, and then you realize how out of shape you are every single time you do it. Then there's like your racing games, like you had the Star Wars pod racing one, you had the Star Wars like Starfighter. I can't remember what it was called. Yes. I think it was X-Wing. Might have just been X-Wing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're talking about the one where you had like the pilot, and there was like three. There was like one from Empire, Star Wars, and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I think there was like one episode you could do like the Battle of Hoth. One was the trench run, and I think one was I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, like you got the right idea on this because there was that. Then you get your classic racers like. Palladium had the Daytona USA ones, which had these, I think it was like 10 to 12 of these Formula 1 looking cars, and they would actually move as you were turning, so that was always a cool thing. My favorite to this day, and it's weird as hell that it is, when I just mentioned being out of shape all the time, I can't remember the specific name. It might be called Downhill Madness, but it was a, like, off, like a trail, like, off-road, like, mountain biking racing game.
Oh, okay.
And I love that because holy crap, like you felt so badass going full speed with you bouncing off these rock cliffs and stuff trying to beat other people. And I'd always win because I guess every other kid just would crash into things because they thought that was funny and I was the one like seriously racing. But like those were always your big ones. Fighting games, obviously, Street Fighter was always a big one, Mortal Kombat. Then you even go to the classics. Pac-Man was always a big deal, especially when the 4-player championship edition came out. Like that's become a fun thing to do. Then you get your skee balls. Like you got all your classic stuff. I mean,
yeah, but I'd put like skee ball more in like I wouldn't put that necessarily as arcade. I'd put that more as like carnival game.
True, but I mean, usually you go to a Cineplex right now, you're gonna see a skee ball there along with all the other fairs. So I kind of just group them together. These days.
Fair.
Just don't play that stupid game where you hit the button and you try to tower it. You're never gonna win that 3DS that's in there. Don't stop trying. No.
Actually, I think one of my sister's boyfriends at one point, I think he won like he actually won a Nintendo. I think it was an advanced SP out of that. So, that's the only person I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it probably cost him $100 minimum to get.
Oh, probably, yeah. The other one, like you just brought me back when you were talking about that downhill racing. Like, do you remember like the ones? I forget what it's called, but like the one where you had like the skateboard and you were doing like the half pipe stuff.
Yeah, there was one like that too. There was also like a skiing one.
Yeah, the skiing one was lame.
Yeah, because that one you just felt weird because you were just going, like you were just basically like shaking your hips. Like it felt more like you were hula hooping than skiing.
Yeah, and then they had like the motocross one where you're like on the motorcycle and you like actually tilted with it. That was
Super Hang On.
That's what it was. Yeah. It was. Yeah, those were great.
I mean, hopefully when things get back to somewhat normal, since we're looking, unfortunately, because I don't like how early we're doing it, but mask mandates being lifted here, like I'm hoping that EGLX makes a comeback in our local area out in Toronto, where they would have arcade machines, and it was always cool to go back and see some of those classics. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else that you wanted to list?
No, that was just kind of
because I
like
was just going to say we have a good segue there because another really popular arcade game was the old classic Turtles in Time.
that's what I was saving for. Yeah, it's the classic Turtles in Time. So that one was one I actually had on the Super Nintendo. So for me, it's more of a Super Nintendo game than an arcade game. But yeah, let's jump into the first story, and this is last week's State of Play. So we talked about it. We hypothesized, and I totally called it that they brought Forspoken on there. But yeah, Adam, what was your general consensus of the State of Play?
Am I gonna have to keep repeating myself every time we have a State of Play coming? Am I gonna have to keep doing this? If they don't tell you specifically what's in it, like if they don't say God of War is gonna be here, it's not gonna fucking be there. So when they say it's mostly gonna be a 20-minute show about a lot of Japanese developers, what did you think it was going to be? And what did it turn out to be? A 20-minute stream, which was mostly Japanese games, a lot of them that most people didn't care about. And they all got mad as they usually do.
I may have hypothesized or predicted that God of War was going to be there, and that was maybe a foolish attempt on my part.
Yeah, that's why I kind of went, look, all these things would be nice, but... Yeah. Although I said it was guaranteed that Chrono Cross was going to show up there, and that didn't even do it. I was surprised by that. I'm like, really, guys? It's already been announced for Nintendo. You didn't think you'd have a chance to kind of say, like, by the way, it's going to be here too. But you decided that it was going to be a good idea to show off a game that is literally about to come out in Strangers of Paradise, I think it is. Yeah, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, which, from what I hear, is a good game if you don't want a good story, which sounds like a Final Fantasy game these days. But other than that, like, you had Forspoken, which, again... No, as I said last week, no matter how many times I look at that trailer, it doesn't look good. It looks pretty, but it don't look that much fun to play.
It looks like I think I said this before about like Forspoken. Forspoken for me looks like a mediocre budget game, and I put it in the same realm as like Guardians of the Galaxy. Is it going to be bad? No. Is it going to be amazing? No. It'll be average. You're not going to hate playing it. You're not going to not want to play it. You're going to enjoy your time, but once it's done, you're going to forget about it. And
look, it looks like 75% of the game's budget went to its graphics. That's just how I look at that game.
Yeah. They also announced Exo Primal, and this was hilarious because I thought, like, are they bringing Dino Crisis? Like,
literally, one of my best friends is the biggest Dino Crisis stan, and he was fucking pissed.
Right? You were so close to the mark, and they're like, nope. And then it just started looking like an Anthem. Like, it kind of gives like an Anthem.
It looked like Anthem meets Days Gone.
Yeah.
With like the fuck ton of raptors. I'm like, guys, what is this? No.
Yeah. It's a weird choice.
It looks like something Platinum Games would come up with. Except Platinum games usually look fun. This looks like a fucking mess. Also, yeah. I'll fix that in a minute. Apparently, my video source isn't working. Well, don't worry about that. If you're listening to the audio, you didn't see nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they announced, the Diofield Chronicle game. Once again, I am not a JRPG fan, so this was not designed for me. So I'm just gonna list the games. You kind of chime in if there's anything you want to talk about. Valkyrie Elysium. Is that from like the same like the Valkyria Chronicles?
It's Valkyria Profile. I think Valkyrie Profile, which is a completely different thing. Again, Japan's weird with the fact that they overwrite a lot of names, so they all sound the same.
That's fine.
I just wanted to make a note. If you want to talk about, like, I talked about how Exoprimal looked really bad, which we're currently watching right now that I fixed the video source. The Valkyrie game, that looks like a game that belonged on PS3. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I know Valkyrie Profile fans are probably really happy to see this game coming back, but guys, you deserve better then, because that game looks like a PS3 game on like the end of its cycle. Like this, it looks pretty bad. It looks 10 years old already.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and like it's got some neat ideas, like some of the artistic, like doing like the little bit of the cell shade graphics is kind of a neat idea. But I'm like looking at cutscenes and oof, it looks rough.
You look at the gameplay specifically, and you're like, oh dear, this is looking sketch. I don't know what I got to think about this. This isn't looking like a game that was going to come out in 2022 or later. This looks like a game that should have. It looks like a port, except it's not, which is kind of not good.
It looks like a remaster. That's what it looks like.
I mean, you obviously don't know it as well as I do because I'm more of a JRPG aficionado. There is this weird thing with JRPG games where they either look 5 years ahead of their time graphically or 10 years behind. Like there's no middle ground. There's never really JRPGs that look like they're like right on time. They're just either like all the budget went to graphics, like Forspoken, and they also could be so horribly like back. Like, look, I'm a big Trails of Cold Steel guy. Those games look like PS2 games still. The newest game looks like a PS2 game. So, you know, I guess if the game is a really good story, it might be good, but like I'm looking at the gameplay and the graphics going, well, this looks like a game that, you know, they've been working on for 15 years. It looks like a fan game that's been worked on for 15 years and it's finally coming out.
Yeah. Next one that they had up was Returnal Ascension. So they're basically bringing story co-op to the game as well as a new sort of battle power arena kind of thing. So, you know, that sort of experience.
I just think the idea of co-op sounds pretty cool. Like, again, you know, both you and me are sitting there being like, man, like I want to play Returnal. I think we found video content potentially.
Yeah, exactly. We could try and work our way through that. I think that's definitely something needs, but it was weird. It didn't fit with the whole theme of the show in that, like, hey, here's a bunch of JRPGs and Returnal. Like, okay, whatever.
I guess it was their way of being like, hey guys, don't worry, we didn't forget about the West. Just so you guys know, it's not all just Japanese. Here's a surprise you guys didn't expect. And we're like, oh, cool, return. Oh, wait, I haven't played that game yet. Never mind.
Yeah. They should have Ghostwire Tokyo. Kind of got a narrative story. I have no idea what this game's about. It looks kind of cool.
That game, I am in a really weird. Now that I've seen like gameplay of it, I'm thinking, man, this game is either going to be amazing. It's now in Deathloop territory where this game is either going to be a massive flop or it's going to be unreally, like, amazingly good. Because I'm not going to lie, the gameplay that I have seen of it, like, it looks like a first-person shooter, but it's kind of not. Because, like, the way that it's the hand, like, it really feels like it's just all hand motions. And man, like, it looks like watching it looks so cool. But I don't know if it's going to play that well. Because it looks like Mirror's Edge with like really, really like much more fleshed out combat. And that sounds pretty cool. But again, like, I don't know. This could be a game that literally is just its concept on paper looks good, and then they just can't come through with it. Or it just slaps. But, like, I don't think there's a middle ground. I think this really is either going to be, it's either a 9 to everybody or a fucking 5 or 6. Like, there's no 7 or 8s for this, I think.
Yeah. Like, it looks really good, and from, like, production value, like, it doesn't look half-assed. Like, it looks like they did a really good job with it. So
it gets your attention. I mean, like, and I think that's the key. It gets you at least curious. Most games that we see these days are like, this looks like everything I've seen before. Okay, you're gonna have to show me something better, or I'm gonna wait for reviews. You look at Ghostwire and you go, I don't even know if I want this, but you have my attention. There was what was the one horror game that was recently? It was called Splitter or something like that, where it was kind of looking like Silent Hill-ish. And I can't remember the name of it, but like even then, like the trailer looks so good. Blue Box episode
we had.
What's that?
You thinking of that Blue Box game that they were working on?
I don't think so. I think I think it was something. I'm just trying to remember of what specific like video stream this came from now, because this is like from maybe a few months ago minimum. But like it was like Splitter House or something like that. I don't remember. But like maybe? I know I'm close in the name, but like. That trailer, even though I had nothing to do with horror games, like the trailer was cool enough that I went, okay, look, I know I don't probably want this, but I'm at least curious to see what people think about that because that looks cool. Ghostwire's in a similar boat where it's like, look, I'm not going to buy this on day one because I know that there's a really good chance I'm going to hate this. So I don't care, but goddamn, I'm going to be looking for reviews because I want to know if this is good.
Yeah. No, it's definitely what I'm going to see, like what the reviews kind of land on it. It's not a day one purchase. I still have a ton of Horizon to get through, so like that game's going to carry me well into the summer probably. But yeah, something to definitely put on your radar. Forspoken, I feel like we kind of already talked about that a little bit. Anything else to add?
Nope. Just like I already said, it looks like a pretty game that might not have much else to it, unfortunately.
This might be one that you kind of talked about this a little bit as well. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, you know.
Chaos. I'll say the meme. That's all I can give you guys on that one.
Yeah. Gundam Evolution. That looked kind of cool. Free to play multiplayer shooter set in the Gundam universe.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't think it's gonna be that good, but like the idea of a Gundam game that plays like an Overwatch style game, that makes perfect sense. And I'm kind of surprised it took this long for that to happen, because Gundams and first person shooters should work really well together. Like, even if like similar to being like a Titanfall game, that would work pretty well. But they're taking a more Overwatch approach to it, which, in all honesty, that's probably a really good idea, because it makes sense with all the different Gundams that are out there. You have your powers, you have your special attacks, and it kind of has, like, I guess, a Call of Duty mix with Overwatch vibe to it, because it does feel very charge in and shoot kind of deal. So it does kind of come up both ways. But like, I'm not gonna lie, because it's free to play, I might actually take a peek at it just to see what's going on, because it's not gonna cost me anything more than my time. It's probably not going to be that great, but hey, if it even is remotely entertaining, that's something I can just say to my buddies, like, hey, you want to go just play a couple rounds of Gundam just for shits and giggles and go have fun? Just being in giant robot tanks? Yeah, why the hell not? I mean, I really enjoyed playing Hawken a bunch, which is nowhere close to Gundam in terms of like speed, but Hawken is a pretty fun game as a first-person shooter, like almost Mech Warrior kind of game. Like,
Mech Warrior.
It's a pretty, like, anybody who hasn't played Hawken before, like, even take a peek at it now. Like, it's actually not bad. And considering it's free, again, all it's costing you is your time, so it's no big deal. Gundam's going to be similar. It might actually be pretty good. It might even be okay, but at least it's free, so you don't really have to give it much else. I think it's actually a really good idea, and I'm actually happy that Gundam's being given something that isn't just, a hack and slash like a Dynasty Warriors game over and over again.
Yeah. The one that kind of we segued in from the arcade conversation. This is the one that I think I was most excited about. The TMNT, the Cowabunga collection. So a collection of 13 TMNT games from the 8-bit to the 16-bit console. So this includes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, best one. Teenage Mutant Turtles NES, that one was really difficult. Teenage Mutant Turtles 2, the arcade game. Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. Tournament Fighters, Turtles in Time. So you get both. You get the arcade and the Super Nintendo version. Tournament Fighters, the Hyperstone Heist, Tournament Fighters again, Fall of the Foot Clan, Back from the Sewers, and Radical Rescue. So like, there's a ton of games, and I didn't play a lot of those, but like, I know the arcade, I know the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Like, I know those ones, and I think I played one of the Game Boy ones.
Low key, Tournament Fighters on the Super Nintendo was a really good 2D fighting game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it was basically Ninja Turtles meets Street Fighter. It was actually pretty decent.
Like, that's a huge collection, and it's interesting that it's coming out right around that time. That other side-scrolling beat 'em up TMNT games coming out. So like,
yeah, I don't think there's any there's any correlation there whatsoever on that one. I think that's,
well, it's interesting because I think it's going to cannibalize on each other, because like, I think a lot of people who were going for that new game were like, oh man, like I miss like Turtles in Time or those games, and now it's coming out. So like, I don't know.
If you make your money, who cares?
Giga Bash. Basically, this looks like a giant kaiju fighting game. Kind of reminded me. Did you ever play the board game King of Tokyo?
No, actually.
Kind of reminded me of that. It looked cool. Looked decent.
Yeah, like I said to one of my friends who's a big Godzilla fan, I said, look, this is probably the best you're gonna get at this point. So if this is what you want, like, this is probably it, because it just seems like there's no real money in a proper kaiju game, like a licensed kaiju game. I just don't think there's any real money for it, which is a shame, because I think you could do something really cool with a Godzilla game. I know that most people would just want to be Godzilla. I think there's actually a really good story you could tell by being just a human during Godzilla trying to survive.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Kind of like there is a series of games that were notoriously bad, but Disaster Report, which is a game that's literally just about like surviving a really bad like weather situation, like a big earthquake or something. I think it'd be really cool to have a game it's not ever about fighting. It's not ever about anything beyond don't die. Like, survive collapsing buildings, survive getting like not being burned alive by Godzilla, like, or getting crushed by his feet. Like, it's literally just a game about like trying to get out of the city, you know? Like, I think that could, like, a proper, like, I guess a horror game without really being like a scary horror game, more of just like a oh shit, I'm gonna die game.
Yeah. No, it looks good. It kind of, I get the vibe that you're trying to like knock each other out of a ring or something. Looks super cool. I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a fun little game. You know, something that maybe, when it's on a Steam sale or something like for half off, you take a look at. But
Honestly, put that as a PlayStation Plus game. I think that would do
that's
really
true.
well.
That could also be a thing that would help
Yeah.
you.
JoJo's Bizarre Battle Adventure All-Star Battler. I have no idea what this is, and I don't care.
Anime the fighting game. Fuck yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, look, if anybody's seen the anime show, you know it's completely stupid, and that's JoJo's. So you get what you get with that game. I look at this game and I'm like really sad that it's not being made by or at least I assume it's not being made by Arc Systems Works because they didn't see their name attached to the trailer unless I'm blind as hell. But like that's the kind of fighting game that I'm like, man, Arc System could do so good with this. I mean, it still looks great. Like it's JoJo's has a very unique draw style. So I think that's what's very attractive to it, and also the fact that it's extremely over the top. But hey, that's anime. But even more over top anime than you're accustomed to. JoJo's is out there.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, like I think anytime you get to see another 2D fighting game, I'm okay with that because those games tend to be a lot more fun than the 3D fighters these days. So I'm obviously cool with that.
Cool. Look forward to that one. The one that caught my attention that I was most excited about was the well, aside from the Turtles in Time, that one was pretty cool. The Trek to Yomi or Yumi.
Yes.
So this one looked kind of like a mixture of like Ghost of Tsushima mixed with like that new Sifu game. You know, kind of 2D, 3D sort of fighting, but looks very much like a Kurosawa film. It looks amazing. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, this definitely kind of gives me vibes of I think it's like Inside or in Limbo, like those guys. It looks like a samurai game kind of with that kind of vibe to it, like the dark gritty like side scroll, you know, part like survive fighting, you know, maybe a little bit of puzzling in there. Like it looks very unique. There was a game a while back called Valiant Hearts: The Great War that was about World War One and how it was mostly like just a side-scrolling story. This looks like a samurai film version of that, and I'm really interested in something like that. This is the kind of samurai game I'd be okay with because this fits more the film noir sort of setup for this because it's not nearly as because open world kind of takes away your I guess ability to get like lost in it. Because eventually you start seeing the same stuff repeat and it kind of doesn't get there anymore. This is probably going to be a shorter experience, so you're not going to get completely like pulled out by various little things. It's going to be a lot more condensed and a lot more focused, I would think, too, and a lot less copy and paste, which is going to make this a very intriguing game for sure.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see where this comes, but this brings into like the larger conversation I wanted to have about state of play, and we're going to jump into the Harry Potter one. Actually, we'll do that first, and then we'll talk about state of play as a whole. So this is coming from the PlayStation PlayStation blog yesterday. So they're telling us that there's going to be another state of play on Thursday, so March 17th. And they write, Avalanche Software and Warner Brothers Games are happy to partner with PlayStation to bring you a special edition of State of Play entirely dedicated to Hogwarts Legacy. Since we first revealed the Hogwarts Legacy, the trailer has been viewed over 28 million times on the PlayStation YouTube channel. The show will run for about 20 minutes, featuring 14 minutes of Hogwarts Legacy gameplay captured on PS5, and concluding with some insight from a few members of the team at Avalanche Software who are bringing the Wizarding World to life. So this is what I want to talk about, and I don't want to... there's not really much to talk about on Harry Potter, and we'll jump to that in a second. But the thing I had is I felt like the PlayStation State of Play last week, and I'm putting with a giant asterisk that I am not the target audience for JRPG games. So, but the impression that I got from the larger community is that it was an underwhelming state of play. Nothing super amazing, nothing that is blowing people's minds in terms of, oh my goodness, this is coming out, I can't wait. And not all the state of plays need to do that. However, the fact that 8 days later or 9 days later, you are doing another state of play on Hogwarts, which people have been clamoring for months. Why? Like, what are you doing? You're saturating. You're saturating with just flooding us with state of plays, and then varying degrees of interest or success, right? So you have, and I mean, we haven't seen this Hogwarts state of play, so we can't speak to it, but you have something big like this, and then you have something with a bunch of smaller titles that generally would be more of just a blog post at any point. And so, and we've talked about this before, I think Sony has an issue that they continually don't know what to do with these state of plays, and they're not able to set a benchmark in terms of what to expect from this. And I know we've talked about this as well. The idea that they can't come out and say, hey, there's nothing exciting here. Like, they have to get you excited, but at the same time, they are trying to temper expectations. But if you have to temper expectations so that people don't get excited for this, what's the point in doing it? I almost feel like this should have just been, hey, we're going to put a Hogwarts state of play, and we're going to put some other games in there as well. So we're not going to do a full deep dive into one game, but rather this will be the tent pole to the larger state of play that'll have other games as well. I don't know. It's just getting to the point where it's going to be, people are going to stop more and more going to state of plays, or they'll be like picking and choosing which ones they go to. And then, you're going to have some really good state of plays and some of the bad ones. And you're going to, as a game developer, going to be nervous of which one you're getting paired to. Are you getting on a good state of play or a bad state of play? And so I feel like Sony needs to figure out what they're doing with this platform.
It's hard to say, right? Like, we've had this conversation at least a couple of times now because we've done a few state of plays now. It depends on what way you're looking at it. Honestly, like, I think this is personally fine because this is the precedent they've already set. We have 3 types of state of plays. You have the state of play that everybody seems to hate, which is the one that we got last week. We have the solo game ones, which is what we're getting Thursday. And you have the showcases, which is where they actually show up and give you all the big stuff. And I honestly don't have a problem with that, but that's also because I'm not getting lost in the hype anymore because I fell for it the first couple of times and it's not working anymore. There's still this train of people that seem to expect something big out of a state of play when we should have been accustomed now to know that unless they straight up tell us something's going to be there, pretty good chance that it's not. Like, the showcase is when the big surprises come in. It's pretty rare that, this state of play that we would have had, I didn't think that Final Fantasy 16 gameplay was going to pop in, or, some new announcement of an Uncharted game was going to pop in there. Like, every time I look at these, I go, okay, there's going to be a lot of niche stuff, possibly a lot of indie stuff, depending on what they've mentioned. And there might be a couple of cool things in there, but it's not going to be like AAA blow you away stuff. We're not going to see like the next Marvel Wolverine. We're not going to see Spider-Man. We're not going to see God of War. Like, that's not going to be their state of play. When it's time, they will literally tell us that it's time. And that's what Hogwarts Legacy was. Did I want to see Hogwarts Legacy at this one last week? Yeah, but if they planned ahead of time to have a solo one, then it makes sense. I think by that point, my question would then become, why wasn't this state of play last week, a couple of weeks ago when you hadn't been doing anything for a while? Because then you could have spread it out. That would have made more sense. The other question is, why is Hogwarts Legacy literally a week after? Like, it goes both ways. Why was last week's state of play not weeks ago? Or why was Hogwarts Legacy not just pushed a little bit back? Unless the release date's like next month, which would be really shocking to me.
I don't know, because like, I know that the new Fantastic Beasts 3 is supposed to come out next month.
Yeah. But then my question would be, why is it now? Why are you giving this solo thing out now? Like, should this not have been something you planned in advance? Like, should this not have been something that, like, let's assume that they've known that this, like, and I'm not talking Sony because it's not necessarily their fault. But if Warner Brothers knew that this game was done and ready to go in, let's say, April, why the hell are you waiting until March, what's the date going to be, 17th to tell everybody? Like, wouldn't you want a few months of PR to hype everybody up? Like every other major game does? It just seems a little weird.
I wonder if it's a situation that the JRPG or the Japanese state of play was meant to be in February, because there were rumors at one point that February was supposed to have a state of play. And I wonder if Forspoken, they were hesitant to put out a game and give that information. So they were like, we're not sure about the date, so we're gonna push this back until the release date was confirmed.
It is also possible that based on the kind of games that were there, because a lot of it is JRPGs, like we just said, it could have also been like they planned to put it here at this point anyway because it was for also their Japanese crowd, which we got to keep in mind too. So there's a lot of factors to it. It really just comes down to like, why are we doing 2 state of plays in 2 weeks? It just seems a little bit weird. Like, one of them could one of them not have been spaced better? Like, I personally don't have a problem with the format. I think just the timing is a little bit weird. That's my only issue. Now, if we, again, I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it when the next one gets announced. Guys, if it's a state of play and not a showcase, stop hyping yourself. Stop doing that. You're not, like, learn your bloody lesson. Because until they decide to actually bring their A game for state of plays, they're not going to bring their A game, so stop expecting it. Now, if that makes you upset, tell it to Sony. Keep laying it into them. Or here's an idea, stop showing up to the streams so they don't see the numbers climbing every time. You can watch the trailers literally an hour later when IGN posts them all.
State of play, stay away.
Exactly.
Showcase, set up base.
There you go.
There you go.
There's
your mantra, guys.
But like, I'm going to keep saying it until I'm red in the face every time State of Play comes up. Guys, they always do this. Why do you act surprised every time it happens? And look, based on the games that I saw, if you're a Japanese player, like if you love a lot of Japanese games, you fucking love this State of Play, probably. Even like me, I honestly don't care about most of the things, and I still found a few things that I really like the idea of. Trek to Yomi, Gundam, the Gundam game. I'm already forgetting the titles now. The JoJo's fighting game actually looks kind of cool. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection. Like there's some cool stuff there. But like, is it God of War, Ragnarok, Uncharted 5, Final Fantasy 16, E3 levels blow away? No, but I also didn't think it was going to be that, so I didn't have my expectations up, and I got kind of impressed with a couple of things I saw this last week. So, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to be that guy, but can you guys, like, maybe temper yourselves a little bit before the next State of Play happens? Same with, like, whatever Nintendo's next Direct is, because they're usually kind of underwhelming. I don't know when Xbox does another one. Apparently EA Play isn't even going to happen this year now. Like there's another small thing that kind of fell through the cracks. Like, guys, you should you should have a pretty good sense by now what an E3 level presentation is going to be. So like, stop assuming State of Play is going to be that, because we literally have the entire history of State of Plays to know that that's not the case.
But I don't think that's the issue. Like I think the issue is that like we're not expecting an E3 level of, announcements or something like that. But, this is also like, blog post level of content. And
to you, maybe, not to everybody. That's the difference, though, is like everybody's treating it like because it wasn't their stuff that it's not worthy. I don't care. Like it's
no, but I would
cool.
say I can't think of a State of Play where there's been that kind of news that like, there's always someone who's like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like even the diehard fans very rarely are coming up being like, oh my goodness, did you see this? Like they don't care. And I think Sony has a situation that most people would kill for, or most corporations would kill for, that they have a captive audience that is excited about this project. And Sony is literally getting to the point where they're like, no, get less excited for this, please. Like you have a captive audience that is excited and and like wants to see these, and you're trying to temper our expectations so we don't get excited. Instead of us trying to lower expectations, why don't you step up and meet ours?
Well, what if they don't have anything? Like then here's my question. Do they just not do fucking anything? Like that's my honest question. Do they just not do any streams until they have like a big showcase? Because like I made the argument a while ago when we were talking about State of Plays. I honestly would be okay if every month they just have a bunch like of stream series for everything that's like a bunch of games that are coming out that month. Just to be like, hey, here's some cool stuff that you can look forward to in the next month. Like, but even if they did that and straight up said, hey guys, we're going to give you a showcase of all the games that are slated to come out this month. And it's at the end of February, they do March, and the end of this month, they would do April. And every fucking stream, people would still go, where's God of War? Where's God of War? Like, this is my problem. I think it's a bit of both sides here. Sony needs to either step it the fuck up, or people need to like lower their expectations, or a little bit of the middle ground needs to happen. Sony needs to at least like maybe bring something to every State of Play that's a little more big. Because like look, Forspoken was probably the biggest thing there, and that's not that big, to be completely honest. So like even if it's a cinematic trailer to announce something, like there's got to be something that Sony's working on that they can go, we can probably like tease this. Like you don't have any, like look, I know we just kept saying the God of War wasn't going to be there, but really you guys don't have like anything for God of War you could show off. Like even like you could even make a half-assed trailer just showing like the voice actors for the game, like just doing a little bit of dialogue so people can get hyped up for that. Like there's a lot of things you can do. So there's that half. But at the other half, I still got to say to gamers too, like you guys need to stop thinking every video that comes out is going to be like E3. Like we know that the showcases are that now. The precedent's been set. Like kind of we both need to kind of understand that. Like Sony needs to step up a little bit because yeah, most of these streams aren't doing it. But like that's what the solo streams generally have been for too, which I think have done very good, because if you really want to know about Horizon Forbidden West, you fucking got that when they did that stream. God of War is eventually going to get that treatment, and you're going to be excited for that. Gran Turismo 7 recently just had one. So like for their biggest games, they generally set aside 20 to 30 minutes that it's just that. They don't make you sit through a bunch of crap, because let's be honest too, if they do a God of War state of play and they say the end of the state of play is going to be 20 to 30 minutes of God of War content, but you have to sit through 30 minutes of other stuff, the entire Twitch chat, as it always does at these things, is going to be, where's God of War? We want God of War. And it's like, I don't think they can win, honestly. So I initially, and I still believe this, I kind of like their format, because if you want to do the small stuff, here's state of play. If you want to focus on one big thing, there's your solo state of plays. And if you got the big one, there's the showcase. Now, if it means the state of play should maybe have a little bit in there, I'm okay with that. But like, I don't personally hate the format. I think it's just people are kind of conditioned to think that every single video trailer that gets brought down, like we're kind of getting used to like the Marvel thing. We're just out of nowhere. Ms. Marvel just dropped today, by the way. So like everybody just sees that and goes, oh shit, I got to go watch that. Everybody sees in advance Sony's going to have a bunch of trailers, and you're thinking, oh, the big thing's coming. It's just everything to us now in this social media, like YouTube, Twitch streaming culture, is everything's got to be big. And I think we got to remember at some point that not everything has to be. I think there is an outlet for Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, whoever it may be, even individual developers, to say, hey, here's some of the stuff we're working on. And us as gamers should not immediately just go, where's your biggest IP? I think there's a bit of both.
Yeah. No, I think you're raising good points. We've talked about this at nauseum as well.
I'm sure people are tired of me saying the same thing that I've said.
I don't want to go into a deep rehash on that one, but yeah, I think that they need to kind of step up a little bit. Like they have a problem that most PR firms would kill to have. Yeah. So.
I mean,
speaking of things,
it's similar to a lot of things. Like so many, like every time a DC movie comes out, everybody's expecting that, and then they watch the trailer and they're going, that's okay. And then Marvel comes out. I don't have a goddamn idea what Moon Knight is, and yet that trailer looks amazing. So it's like the goodwill, like Sony, if they just put like a small sliver of like a bigger property, they would eat it up. Because you're right, like they're that captivated right now. If they just threw a 30-second clip of God of War combat, doesn't even have to be like voiced or anything. It can literally just be music with some combat, and people be like, ah.
Yeah,
it's honestly not hard. So I think you're right, at least in the sense of like they should do a little bit more. But like, I don't know. I'm not complaining. Sorry, I keep cutting you off when you're trying to.
I'm like just trying to find these segues there. Yeah. No, speaking of things being better than they could be, it looks like Perfect Dark from the Xbox Studio Initiative is not doing very well. This is coming from the Video Game Chronicle. Andy Robinson. I'm just going to read some excerpts. It's a long one, ladies and gentlemen, so buckle up. Essentially, they're just having some problems. So from the initiative, so as much as half of the core development team known to be working on the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot quit the company during the last year, or around 34 people, an analysis of employee LinkedIn profiles has revealed. That includes most of the initiative's senior design team, including game director Dan Newberger, designer director Drew Murray, lead level designer Chris O'Neill, principal world builder Julian Mays, and a whole bunch of other people, including a group of 3 former God of War designers and more. And the turnover of top talent doesn't end in design. Perfect Dark's 2 most senior writers also quit recently, analysis shows, along with project technical director, tech art director, lead gameplay engineer, lead animator, QA lead, and more. So according to LinkedIn, the initiative now has less than 50 people when duplicates, former employees, and all that have been removed, and currently just has 3 roles advertised on its website. Analysis suggests it hired around 12 people in the past 12 months. The timing of the departure coincides with September's 2021 announcement that Crystal Dynamics has been signed on to co-develop Perfect Dark. This, combined with the few job roles currently advertised at the initiative, suggests that the Tomb Raider developer is likely taking a much stronger lead than first thought on the project. Interviews with multiple former senior developers cited a lack of creative autonomy and slow development progress as the reasons for the departures, and described the wave of exits as fast and furious, with project momentum said to be heavily affected. I'm cutting a little bit out here. The article continues. In the games industry, competition and experienced talent is at an all-time high following a pandemic-fueled gaming boom. And unhappy initiative staff would likely have had plenty of alternative employment opportunities at the large number of neighboring AAA studios in California. The former initiative developers VGC spoke to attributed the wave of departures to frustration among senior talent over the direction of the project set by Gallagher and game director Neil Newberger, who himself left the company last month. Although the initiative's website claims that the company promotes a collaborative creative environment, former employees describe the studio's development hierarchy as very top-down, with Gallagher and Newberger keeping a strong grasp on the creative decisions. According to former employees, many senior team members were frustrated by the perceived lack of autonomy and didn't feel heard on key issues such as development priorities, project planning, and team staffing. Gallagher and Newberger, who were previously studio head and game design director at Crystal Dynamics, wanted to make games the way that they had always, with top-down direction, the sources said, while many initiative employees were expecting a more bottom-up approach. As a result, it's claimed that the development has progressed painfully slowly, and a solid company culture never formed. All former employees VGC spoke to said that they were surprised at how lenient Microsoft had been over the lack of progress. Cutting a little bit out, Crystal Dynamics' introduction is also now likely to plug the gaps left by the initiative staff turnover, VGC was told. VGC sources agreed that they would be surprised if Crystal Dynamics' introduction, combined with the significant departures of core staff, hadn't triggered an effective soft reboot of Perfect Dark, and it was still likely years away from release. Adam, what the hell's going on at the initiative?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Yeah, so, I don't know, so the initiative's a new studio, and obviously this is not a good sign. This is not something productive, but I don't think it surprises me. So hear me out. The thought that I had is that the initiative is a new studio, and a lot of people sign on thinking that it's going to be this or that. It's not a company that has established itself. It doesn't have a culture. It doesn't have a community that's being built. And as people join this team, it's either going to fit with what their expectations were or it's not. And you're going to have some people who are going to say, you know what, this is not what I thought it was going to be, and I'm out. Are there problems? Probably. But I think one of the issues that you have is that it was sold as this whole collaborative, cooperative, bottom up team. But when you look at the people that are on there, you have, people who were lead designs for Tomb Raider series, 3 God of War, you had Chris O'Neill, who's the lead level designer and associate director for God of War and Metal Gear. You have Justin Perez, who's senior systems designer for Jedi Fallen Order. You have Kurt Loudy, who was a system designer for id Software. Ian Miller's senior designer for God of War. You have some really big names here. You don't have an inexperienced team. And maybe the problem that you have, and I'm not trying to say that there's nothing going on there, but one of the problems is that you have too many senior level people, almost like a too many chefs in the kitchen kind of situation, where you might need to have that top-down approach. And if you have too many people who have too much senior experience, you're going to have some people butting heads. And like the article said, there is not a shortage, but it's basically an employee's market right now in terms of where you want to go. So if you have this great resume, you may not be comfortable or may not want to work in a place where you don't have as much autonomy as you want, but the initiative may not be able to give as much autonomy as all those senior people deserve.
Neither of us are in the industry, so it's so hard to read the tea leaves here and be able to kind of understand what's actually happening here. I mean, there's so many things that be going on. Maybe just the management isn't going too well. Maybe there's a lot of issues with harassment issues that we might not be hearing about yet. There could be allegations that haven't come out just yet. There could be just an overall just not good amount of process. Maybe just the wrong people are kind of not gelling together. There's so much that could be happening. At the end of the day, for us though, it's just a disappointment because we're all really excited about this, and it seems a soft reboot doesn't mean it's going to shit. For all we know, no. Hogwarts Legacy is about to get shown off in 2 days, and that game's been in developmental hell for a decade. And if that game looks good, we'll be like, oh shit, then maybe they did save it. So who knows? You put the right people in charge again later and you start over, unless they rush it out the door, Perfect Dark might still be fine. But like, it doesn't help that, when we see all these kind of stories that we go, oh crap, there goes another thing that got too ambitious to try to bring back because they knew it would get massive fanfare, and it's not going to work out because there's just the wrong people got put in charge of it, or maybe they're getting too greedy thinking that it was just going to be this easy thing to make money on. There's so many things about it, but like, we have a history of seeing these stories and finding out that these games end up getting rushed out or just never come out to begin with. So I don't know, like, I saw that story today and I went, great, so there goes another thing of my nostalgic history that's probably either going to be garbage or never happened. So that's fantastic. And then it reminds me of Perfect Dark Zero anyway, which goes, oh yeah, the last time that it came out, it wasn't even that good anyway, so who knows, maybe it's just going to be more of that, even if it does get done.
See, I have a little bit more hope. I think rebooting it or doing a soft reboot isn't necessarily a bad thing. If things aren't working out, don't sink time into a lost cause. Like, there's that fallacy of like, what is it, where like you put so much in and you should just stick with it. Sometimes it's better just cut your losses and say, let's start from scratch. And I think the fact that I didn't talk about it in the article, but the article does say that like Microsoft is giving them a long leash. Like, they're not rushing them through. And I think that speaks to the fact that Microsoft kind of needs this studio doesn't need this studio.
Is it because they trust them, or it's because they know that they can sink some money into this because this will make them money if it actually works out?
Exactly. But I mean, that's the thing. They're giving them the time to breathe. There's not this rush of it needs to get it done. I don't care the situation. It seems like Xbox is being very supportive and nurturing to them, that like, hey, yeah, things aren't working out. Take your time. And that's something that we've heard from other games as well, that Microsoft is not like, pushing them to rush these out. It's get them done when they're ready. And yeah, you're building these new studios. It's going to take time to develop a culture and a system of doing things. Like, Naughty Dog does well because it's Naughty Dog. It has years, if not decades, of history to kind of build that culture. And it's going to take time for the initiative too. So, I mean, it sucks. It's not a good look for the initiative, but I think it's just, I'd like to say growing pains, in the sense that they just need to figure out what the studio is, how it's going to operate. And it's in transition period. And once it's established, then it'll start hitting the ground running.
Yeah, it's like everything else. The hope is that they bounce back, things get back to a good pace, and they're able to pop out something that honestly will bring us back to the old days of the N64 Classic, because goddamn, the fact that it's been that long since a good Perfect Dark game is scary. Yeah. I mean, we're a long time removed even from a good Bond game, so like, there really is that like, that open air. Like, if Perfect Dark can come out in like 4 to 5 years at this point, let's say, because if they're rebooting it, probably at least that long, maybe even longer. If that game can come out and be fucking fantastic and like bring back the old first-person shooter spy game, man, I would kill for that, because that's a genre that sorely needs to be like perfected again, because that used to be like, those games used to be the games. Like, you had Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, you had the No One Lives Forever games, you had 13, not the remake, not the really bad remake that they did, but like the original 13, like those games existed, and you still had more 007 games. You had, even though it wasn't as good, The World Is Not Enough was still decent. You had Nightfire, you had Agent Under Fire. You had even Everything or Nothing, the third person game, was actually pretty good. So like, those were like, and that's like Xbox, like barely 360 PS3 era. That's how long it's really been since we've had those games. Because like, otherwise you get Metal Gear and that's it.
There was a Quantum of Solace James Bond game. I have it on my shelf.
I played it on Wii and it was horrible.
Well, it wasn't on Wii. I played it. It was on PS3 that I had it. So
yeah, apparently the Wii got the really bad version, which was like most Wii games.
What a surprise!
I know, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's just, this is a situation of too many chefs in the kitchen. But I think honestly, Crystal Dynamics is thinking of what they've done with Tomb Raider. Like, I think they could pull off a decent Perfect Dark game.
Yeah,
like,
they could.
Weird, because like I was thinking about it. Like, Perfect Dark, they can't build it like they did it back in the early 2000s, even like GoldenEye, because those were very linear hallway shooters. Whereas now, like, if you think of something like a Call of Duty campaign, like, they are very massive, bombastic, that I don't think you'd have that slow, narrow corridor experience. But I think if you did like an open world map for like different levels, like, hey, we're gonna drop you almost kind of like what they did with like almost like a Hitman kind of situation.
I was just gonna say,
like,
do first person Hitman and you solve your problem.
Here's an expansive environment, different levels, different layers, go explore those buildings, get your missions done, get out, and then we'll drop you into the next layer. And I think that's,
and also like, I think there's still a way to do linear levels right. It's just the problem is most games that do that don't actually put a lot of creativity into it. So it like Deus Ex actually did a decent job of like, yeah, it's an open world, but there were individual areas that had their own little complexities to them. Like there are ways you can make it work. So I think it's more than possible. It's just the problem is it seems like most people that do it just figure, okay, I'll make this very bare bones level that just has a bunch of open rooms and we're good, right? And we're like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
I think you can do like, actually, you know what? The best example I can come up with, do what Destiny does with their levels. You have these levels that some areas are pretty open, some are a little bit condensed, but they all have their little quirks to them. Like you can make that stuff work pretty easily. And I mean, Bungie Combat shows that you can do really good first-person shooters and have like pretty linear levels. It's easy to do. Like, and they're levels that people will go back and play 50 times. So, you know, it's honestly not difficult if you actually, you know, I don't know, care about the thing you're making instead of doing the corporate stuff. So hopefully Crystal Dynamics and whoever is in the initiative team going forward can kind of come together and create something similar to that, I would hope. But like, as I've said before, anytime this kind of news comes out, we're almost like required to immediately go, well, great, there goes the game. Because that's like par for the course.
I mean, it's definitely not a encouraging or reassuring story, but I don't think it's the Doom, like the early warning signs, the canary in the coal mine of a Doom game. No, not yet.
Now, if it happens twice.
Yeah. Well, you only get one. Everybody gets one.
Actually, that's not. I think Hogwarts Legacy did get shafted twice. Now that I think
it hasn't come out yet, so let's see.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe a third reboot happens.
Exactly. Speaking of games being released, let's switch over. Let's talk about that game that has been taking the world by storm. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think is it Elden Ring, I think?
That might be correct.
It sounds right. This game is honestly taking the world by storm. I'm not going to read the whole article, but essentially what it's come is that Elden Ring is doing hugely well. And in Europe, actually, it is the highest selling new IP since 2016's The Division. Adam, I'm going to be honest, this kind of surprised me because there's a huge difference between The Division and Elden Ring. I feel like The Division they both had a lot of hype. Elden Ring is getting amazing reviews, but I mean, I think The Division is far more accessible than Elden Ring is. And I wonder if this is a situation of, I mean, obviously I'm not saying this is everybody, but I wonder how many people got in thinking like, oh, this is written by George R.R. Martin, like this is getting 9s and 10s. And this is their first time getting into a FromSoft game, not realizing what the hell a FromSoft is. Because I can't imagine that the amount of players eager to get into a hardcore, unforgiving, yet good FromSoft game is mainstream. Like that doesn't seem like, it seems odd to me.
You probably have the article up right now. Is there a number?
Yeah, so I'm going to read this. This is coming from Sampad Banerjee at Gaming Bolt. As reported by Game Industry, the latest data revealed by GSD reveals that 44% of Elden Ring sales came on PC. Did they say how many they did?
Because that's what I'm curious about, is how many copies is it?
Okay, here we go. In total, let's see here. You know what? Give me a second. I'll figure this out.
Well, like, in straight up, like, one of the big things that I figure is probably behind it is, you know how a lot of people really, really got super, like, hyped about Cyberpunk because of Witcher 3? Yeah. I think a lot of people are just hyped on Elden Ring in general because the history of Dark Souls has been so positive that I think that company name just gets people's attention now, and they're thinking, oh, this is going to be, like, a high-quality game. And even a lot of people know that they're hard games, but they just figure like, okay, well, we know it's going to be really polished, so maybe I should finally give this one a shot because it's so like hyped up for it now. And yeah, you're probably right. The George R.R. Martin probably gets a little bit extra connection in there. And well, again, I don't think any From Software game has had more hype around it than ever before. So I think it's just easy to get caught in that, especially if you're like one that isn't completely deep into that culture yet. Also, not gonna lie, a lot of this is probably being just bought by like Twitch streamers who think it's gonna be worth the views because, again, it's the biggest fish out there right now. And, you know, they're probably thinking, well, there's content in me, even though I'm bad at this game, that people will get to watch me die 1,000 times. So I think there's a bit of that too, because it is very much a streaming culture game too. So I think there's a whole lot of like little things that I think are contributing to it. But all in all, the biggest one is just that the company is just high quality. So like everybody's deep in entrenched in what's going on with this. And when a game comes out of this ilk that's got the amount of hype and then follows up with the reviews that are all unanimously saying this game is amazing, I'm not really surprised that it's doing this well as a first IP. Also, it's kind of sad when you think about it, because that really tells us that if the Division's the one that had to beat, there hasn't been a lot of good IP since, has there?
So I'm looking here, and I got this information from Silicon Era, from Kazuma Hashimoto, and they write that in early March of 2021, Famitsu reported PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 sales of Elden Ring had surpassed 278,000 units. So most sales within the week of February from 21st to the 27th. So, however, this number only accounted for PS4 and PS5 versions of the game within Japan, so that doesn't really help with what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to tell, because I don't think those numbers will really come out for a while now. But like, yeah, again, like I'm not, honestly, when I saw the article name, I wasn't surprised that Elden Ring became the highest selling IP. My brain was just like, the Division was what it beat.
Yeah.
But then I forgot like how overhyped Division was for everybody. So I know a lot
of people.
The
door on the car. You forgot they closed the door on the car. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and that's why I'm angry. Because I'm remembering how cool that trailer initially looked at E3.
He was walking by and he closed the door on the car as he was in cover.
And I know this because I bought it day one, and I hate myself for that.
Oh, I bought it day one and I loved it. That game was great.
Nah, it was like, as a Destiny player, I literally played that game and went, this is Destiny without any charm. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, oh god, yeah, I don't play MMORPG.
Also, that game was horribly scaled for fighting. Like, Jesus Christ, some of the enemies were bullet sponge. Like, here's the thing. You can accept like, Division I knew from the get-go was a problem, because you can accept bullet sponge in Destiny, because, yeah, they're aliens. You don't know how their fucking physiology works. But you're shooting a human in a toque, and he's taking 50 bullets. Shut up. Shut up.
Actually, that was one of the things. But, like, it had a really cool ambience. Like, New York City, like, around Christmas time, it was dope.
Oh, like, yeah, no, like when I played the demo, I loved it. And I went, man, I could do this for a while. And then once I played the actual game and got deeper in the game, I went, oh, they just make everybody's health more. Oh, God, this isn't fun at all now.
Oh, I loved it. I love the Division, and Division 2 was even just better.
I don't know. Probably would help if I had more people to play with as well, but like, I can play Destiny solo and not care. So like, if Division can't do it, it's similar to Outriders, where like I played it and it's not like I hated playing it. I just went, this isn't as good as Destiny. This isn't remotely as good as Destiny.
See, I wasn't someone who played Destiny. I don't play those style of games, and I just played the Division as a solo, kind of almost like a Ghost Recon-esque kind of single player. I'm gonna go off and do my own thing, and I loved it. It was great. I had no problems with it, and I got both games in.
It is my mission over the course of this year to slowly get like a lot of my friends to finally try Destiny, because I'm the only one of like my I have a lot of PlayStation friends I could play it with, but like out of my entire group of people I actually talk to physically, I'm like, no one else plays it? Really? You guys are all playing like other stuff, but you've never tried Destiny, and it's free now? Come on. And I'm slowly I'm slowly chipping away at some people to try it. So
I can't do the grind. I can't do the grind.
You don't have to do the grind. You can just play the missions and be happy.
I'm good. Adam,
good.
let's wrap it up as always with our game Trophy Stumpers. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to this, we basically throw Adam 10 clues from a game's trophy list, achievement list, whatever you want to call it, and he gets a guess after 3 clues, 6 clues, and then on the 10th clue. This one actually comes to our buddy over at Project X Talk, Adam the Muffin Man. So he's got a little challenge for you here, Adam. I'm gonna throw it out to you. Are you ready?
No, I'm afraid now.
Okay, let's see if you can get this one. First clue: intimate moments.
Intimate moments. Okay. Yeah. Like, okay. Let's go Witcher 3. I don't know.
Oh damn. I'm just kidding.
That would be amazing if I guessed that on first try, just because of that.
Trophy number 2. It's Halloween.
Okay, well, it probably isn't Witcher now.
Number 3, Penny Pincher.
Penny Pincher. I mean, so it could be Witcher 3 still. I don't know.
We have intimate moments, It's Halloween, and Penny Pincher.
I don't know, Fable.
In the past. Fable is not Fable. All right, number 4. I think she likes you.
Okay.
Number 5. Scorpion Cleaner.
Scorpion Cleaner. All right.
Yep. Number 6. True Friendship. So let me repeat those for you. Intimate Moments. It's Halloween. Penny Pincher. I think she likes you. Scorpion Cleaner. True Friendship.
It's definitely not this, but I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy.
It is not Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay. Number 7. Master Thief.
Okay.
Number 8. Undercover Raccoon.
All right.
Okay. Number 9. 100% Pure Cooper.
Okay.
And then number 10. So what's next? What's next, gang?
All right, so this sucks. So basically I have to pick a Sly Cooper game, and I have 3 chances here. Gee, that's
actually technically
fair.
There's 4.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that really helps my odds now.
Actually, I guess there's 5.
I hate you. Shut up.
Don't hate me.
Okay, I hate you and Muffin Mon. Okay, does that work?
Yeah.
It's equal
That's
now.
fine. I can take that. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the list of Sly games now. Because now that I know it's a Sly Cooper game, I'm at least got to figure out what the titles are.
I feel like this might be grounds of cheating, sir.
Why?
I think it's cheating.
All right, fine, I won't.
I'll have to send this to the commissioner and see.
All right, fine, I won't. I just typed in Sly games, didn't hit enter. I mean, we know it's a Sly Cooper game. That's why I was like, okay, I don't want to look stupid by saying the wrong name for if I guess Sly 2 somehow, you know?
Okay, so we're walk through it. What are the options that you have?
I don't know, Sly 1, 2, and 3. That's all I got.
Okay. Just ignore the fact that I told you there's more than 3 games.
I don't remember what the other ones are. I only remember the PS2 ones. I'm glad you at least gave me that hint, so at least I know in the ballpark of what I was, because otherwise I wouldn't have had a goddamn idea.
Think about it, Adam.
Think about what? Give me the list again.
All right. So the trophies for this game are Intimate Moments, It's Halloween, Penny Pincher, I Think She Likes You, Scorpion Cleaner, True Friendship, Master Thief, Undercover Raccoon, 100% Pure Cooper. So what's next, gang? Think about the meta on this.
What meta? Shut up. Like that helps so much. Thank you. Oh my god.
Do you need some help?
Yes, but I don't think you're going to give it to me.
There's 2 ways I can go about this.
You're not sure. I can't Google things if you're going to give me hints. No. I don't know. I'll just go with my favorite out of the ones that I play. Let's go with Sly 3.
It is not Sly 3, my friend. Think about it. What console was Sly 3 on?
I don't know.
Think about it.
PS2?
Yeah, did PS2 have trophies?
No.
So which ones would have had it?
The ones that I don't know the names of?
Yeah.
So what's the game,
answer
then?
The answer was the Sly Cooper collection.
Okay. I'm about to get real mad, but now I'm going to do some research on my own.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, while Adam's doing
because
that research,
I want to know what game that trophy list is from. Or did
I
you
don't
just
think
pick games from the entire thing?
I did not pick this. He picked all 10 trophies. I think that's literally just the trophy list from all the games.
So it's just So that's not fair.
Take it up with the commissioners, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to submit games to Stump Adam with Trophy Stumpers, feel free to do so. You can either message us through the Discord or send us an email at pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. Give me 10 trophies. Give me the game it's for. Don't make it super obscure or, ridiculous. Like, make it something. This is perfectly a valid option. So good job, Adam.
I'm calling bullshit. I got this right. I am 33% right, and you can't take that away from me. That is a bronze medal, I'll have you know.
What test is 33% a pass?
A test where you give me a collection, and technically I guessed a game in the collection, so that should count for something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it like good for you? You figured out the one where the trophies are Master Thief, Undercover Raccoon, and Pure Cooper.
I'm so sorry that I forgot that like there was a collection on PS3, and I just didn't name the collection, except I named one of the games that was in it. Here, Sly 1, 2, and 3. Does that technically count as a win because that's in the collection?
No, technically the title we're looking for is the Sly Cooper collection.
This game is bullshit. I am now calling into an arbitrator. I'm taking this to the Supreme Court of Gaming Trophies. This is going to be put on trial.
But the backlog's so long there, it's going to take a while.
And I'm going to get Phoenix Wright to fucking be my lawyer on this. Fuck you, Edgeworth. You're not that good a lawyer.
All right. Well, congrats to Adam at the Muffin Man, who you can hear on Project X Talk. I think they post every week. I think it's on Wednesdays as well. Don't quote me on that, but go check them out there if you want to. So, yeah. I think we're going to wrap it up there. So, Adam, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us. We greatly appreciate it. If you want to hear more, we have a bunch of episodes. You can find them on YouTube for searching Pixel Play Podcast. Or you could also find us wherever you get your podcast by searching for Pixel Play Podcast. And we are also on Twitter, Instagram, and we have a Discord. We'd love to see you guys join us. Information is in the link tree if you're watching us on YouTube. And yeah, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.